best life has to offer, but giving them too much can turn your little prince or princess into an ungrateful brat.
Well, if that's the case in your house, the good news is you can unspoil your kids and teach them gratitude. Here with help are psychologist Jennifer Hartstein, author of Princess Recovery, and Dana Points, the editor-in-chief of Parents Magazine.
And that is her real name, by the way.
Yes,
I love that.
Is. Okay,
nice to see you, ladies.
We start with the poll, as we tend to do.
Yes.
All right, on KLG&Hoda.com, 75% say that their kids are spoiled. And I guess the question is if they are spoiled now, when is it too late to unring the bell with them?
No, it's not too late to unring the bell, but you have to, on some level, depending on the age of your kid, let them know that you are going to unring the bell, that there's going to be a change in the house, that you're changing up the system. Because if you just stop giving in all the time, they're going to be very confused. It's going to be really awful.
So let's be age appropriate about this for a second. Say, and then we'll get your feeling on the same thing, Dana. Say they're 6. Because that's going to be different than 16.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So you can have the same conversation. You can say, hey, you know, you ask, you want, and we want to be able to give you everything we can. But we're going to change things up. The house, we're all going to work together to change that. And here's what we're going to do. Let's figure out who we can give all these toys that you don't play with anymore. Who do we want to give them to? And work with the 6-year-old to start to teach them. It's a great age. They're curious. They want to learn.
With you
and take them with you so that they're seeing where it goes. They can see what happens. And then make that a monthly ritual if you can.
And be prepared with an older child, for example, to repeat yourself over and over. Go in the bathroom when you're alone, look in the mirror and practice just saying no over and over.
What if you do that, you know, your kid's 16 and you keep saying, okay, now here's a new thing. You're coming in at 11 and not 12 midnight anymore, and we're changing the game. And they're resistant. What's the penalty? Like, how do you stop it?
Well, you want to speak to older kids?
I mean, 16, it's a whole new ball game. They have their own
driving.
They're driving. They have their own money, and you actually are trying to teach them a level of responsibility.
Have their own money, though, Jen.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
But they, you know, so where do you set a limit? Well, if the limit is they have to be home at 11 and they come in at 11:30, then what you need to set that up before they ever go out. If you come in late, you're going to lose curfew tomorrow, or
set up a penalty.
You have to. They have to.
And then you have to be consistent.
Whatever the privilege is.
Got to be, right?
Going out, access to devices,
you know
whatever
what
it is.
Happens a lot is, and I was a maniac about manners. A maniac about it. Everything's fine. Then they go off to college. They go. Now my kids, you know, they're good kids, but it's different when they come back and they're starting to get independent and stuff. And all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah. What are you going to do about it? And what do you do then?
Start from a young age.
Right.
Yeah. But I did.
Yeah.
They
Well,
were
it's too
before
late.
they could talk. No, I'm not complaining about my kids. They're awesome. But you sense the world's influence on them
Well,
when they come back.
The job of a teenager, and we know that adolescence extends now into like the early 20s to the mid 20s, is to learn how to be independent and to learn how to, you know, push the boundaries. That's part of their job, quote unquote. And so even in their early 20s, they're going to come back and they're going to push back a little more because they're used to living on their own, and now they come to your house and the rules, we go back to those roles of being teenagers. Sometimes it doesn't matter how old you are when you come home.
But you know, even though they're not at home, they're in college and but kids are still under your roof if you're still paying all the bills. Is it the right thing to keep reminding them of that, or is that counterproductive? I
think it's fine to remind them, and I also think it's great to expose them to parts of the world where there are people who don't have, right? So whether that means doing community service when your child comes home from holiday, when they're under your roof, but also it goes back to demonstrating the proper behavior yourself. Like, let your kid see you say no to something, or postpone your own pleasure or enjoyment, or forego a purchase,
you know,
no matter
say
what
no
age.
to them if they're in college and they're asking you because they want to go to Cancun for spring break, and you just don't feel that they've performed well or they've earned it, then you can. No is a very powerful word, but you have to say no and stick to it.
All right. Okay, ladies, thank you for all you do.
Thanks.
All righty, you know these celebrity outfits you wish you could afford.
Well, now you can. We've got stylish star looks